All things are interconnected, and the end point of this interconnection is the greatest creator. 8. 万物相互感应，感应的终端是上帝. In the universe, everything is connected to each other through reaction. Reaction is the process by which something senses and responds to external stimuli. External stimuli can be divided into two types: explicit and implicit stimuli. Explicit stimuli are mainly conveyed through form, smell, color, sound, temperature, texture, and brightness. Implicit stimuli are mainly conveyed through sound waves, electromagnetic waves, thought waves, biological waves, same frequency waves, radiation, and other means. For example, when people see beautiful birds, blue skies, handsome men, and beautiful women, they feel happy. When they see caterpillars, snakes, dark rolling clouds, or devils in horror movies, they feel afraid. When they see sexy women in short skirts, they feel aroused. When they encounter things they dislike, they feel disgusted, mainly due to different forms of stimuli. Smelling the fragrance from the kitchen can increase one's appetite, while smelling the stench of overflowing feces in the toilet can make one feel nauseous. The fragrance of flowers can make one feel refreshed, while the smell of vomit from a drunk person can make one feel uneasy, mainly due to different odor stimuli. Seeing colorful flowers can make one happy. Seeing the bloody scene of a murder can be distressing. Seeing the color blue can feel refreshing, and seeing the color red can feel warm, mainly due to different color stimuli. Beautiful singing, moving melodies, and sweet words from a loved one can make people's emotions surge and their thoughts wander, while the sound of a shovel scraping against concrete, funeral music, and ferocious and malevolent shouting can make people feel fearful, irritable, and depressed, mainly due to different sound stimuli. When it is cold, muscles contract. When it is hot, sweat glands expand. Sleeping on a comfortable mattress feels good, while lying in a corner made of stone makes one uncomfortable. Beautiful spring scenery can make people feel ecstatic, while pitch darkness can make people feel frightened, mainly due to different reactions to temperature, texture, and brightness. The above are examples of how people respond to explicit stimuli from the external environment. Examples of how people respond to implicit stimuli are as follows. Sometimes people feel anxious or restless for no apparent reason. This is because of the thought waves or biological waves of people who are associated with them. From a perspective of hyperspace and time, when certain events are about to happen, there may be same frequency waves that stimulate people's nerves in advance. Just like the geomagnetic waves before an earthquake, many animals are sensitive to these waves, such as fish jumping out of the water, dogs barking, horses neighing, mice running around, and roosters crowing. Sometimes our ears get hot and our faces feel hot, which is a premonition of information related to us, just like the upcoming cold air current that stimulates people with arthritis. In Water Margin, Lin Chong, the head of the 800,000 Imperial Guard troop, seeking shelter at the mountain temple due to the snowstorm may seem like a coincidence, but it was actually a response to the events that were about to happen. Without this sensitivity, he would have been killed in the fire. In Robinson Crusoe, the protagonist describes a similar experience. After I had settled my affairs and sold my goods and turned them into reliable bills of exchange, the next difficult problem was which route to take back to England. I was accustomed to traveling by sea, but at this time, I had a strange aversion to going back to England by sea, even though I couldn't give a reason. This resistance in my mind kept growing stronger and stronger. One time, I even had my luggage loaded onto the ship, but suddenly changed my mind, and this happened 2 or 3 times in a row. It's true, I've had too many unfortunate events at sea in my lifetime, which could be one of the reasons, but in these situations, a person cannot completely ignore their inner impulse. There were 2 ships, and I had decided to board them, meaning that I had specifically chosen them. One of them had my luggage on it, and I had spoken with the captain of the other one, but I didn't end up boarding either of them. Later, these 2 ships encountered problems. One of them was captured by Algerians, and the other one sank at start near Tobago Bay, with only 3 survivors out of the entire crew. Regardless of which ship I boarded, I would have had bad luck. As for which ship was unluckier, that's hard to say. This is a kind of sensing of implicit stimuli. Without this sensing, Robinson would have been buried at sea. Subconscious behavior is a kind of inexplicable, hard-to-explain sensing behavior. This sensing behavior has saved the lives of billions of people, but has also led tens of thousands of people to death. Someone has studied biological sensing. He divided 50 snails into 25 pairs and put each pair together. After some time, he wrote the same letters on the shells of each snail in each pair. He then took one snail from each pair to the United States and left the other one in Paris. Later, at a designated time, he stimulated the snail left in Paris with an electric current, and at the same time, the other snail in the pair that was taken to the United States also exhibited an electric current stimulation response. The snail in Paris had an electric current stimulation response because it was stimulated by the electric current. But why did the snail in the United States also have an electric current stimulation response when it was not stimulated by an electric current? It's because it sensed it, and its response was a subconscious behavior. Animals such as pigeons, dogs, and horses have a sense of their owner's whereabouts. After a pigeon is released, it can find its owner who has moved to a new location. If you put a dog in a box and take it a few hundred kilometers away before releasing it, it can accurately find its way back. There was an animal trainer named Duluth who could use mental suggestions to make animals perform. Once, he secretly commanded a dog in his mind, "Go to the piano and use your paws to hit the white keys." It was said that the dog obeyed without fail. Another time, upon everyone's request, he made two lions who had been friendly to each other for 3 years start to bite each other. Once, a researcher named Kerensky asked Duluth, "Since you can use mental suggestions, can you suggest that I do something?" Duluth agreed and told him to sit still without moving. Duluth picked up a piece of paper, quickly wrote a few words on it, covered it with his hand, and looked at Kerensky. Although Kerensky didn't feel anything special, he unconsciously scratched behind his right ear with his hand, and before he put his hand down, Duluth handed him the paper, which read, "Scratch behind your right ear." From the examples above, we can see that Kerensky involuntarily scratched behind his right ear without feeling anything special, which seems to be Kaczynski's personal behavior, but in fact, he faithfully carried out Durlov's instructions. The world-renowned psychic master Wolf Mason once had dinner with the famous founder of psychology, Sigmund Freud, at Einstein's residence in Vienna. During the dinner, Freud secretly conducted an experiment without saying a word. He merely gave Mason a telepathic command, instructing him to go to the bathroom and take a pair of tweezers from the mirror frame, and then pluck 3 beard hairs from Einstein's chin. After giving the silent command, Freud continued to eat and drink on his own, and the guests continued to chat and laugh as usual. Mason seemed to be completely unaware, but when the coffee arrived, Mason immediately stood up, went to the bathroom, took a pair of tweezers, walked to Einstein's side, bent down, gently lifted Einstein's chin, carefully plucked 3 hairs and placed them in front of Freud. Examples like this are numerous. All living beings in the vast world subconsciously execute commands. Our next action, the next sentence, may seem like individual behavior, but it is actually a response to explicit and implicit stimuli from the outside world. So, who are we taking orders from? According to the level of life, lower-level life senses the commands of higher-level life, and lower-energy life senses the commands of higher-energy life. This means that plants receive commands from animals, humans, celestial beings, Buddhas, and gods. Animals receive commands from humans, celestial beings, Buddhas, and gods. Humans receive commands from celestial beings, Buddhas, and gods. Celestial beings receive commands from Buddhas and gods. Buddhas receive commands from gods. Who do gods take orders from? Gods take orders from the greatest creator. The ultimate stimuli is the greatest creator. From the 40 pieces of evidence and 8 logical inferences above, we can no longer doubt the existence of the greatest creator. Since the greatest creator exists, what are the features of the greatest creator?